Okay, I don't talk LPGA golf very often, if ever. I mean, it's rare. But what's happened here, it deserves a conversation because I believe this is the best thing and the worst thing that's happened to the LPGA Tour in a long time. And you let me know your opinion on this as well. And I always say, like, we got to have just a regular conversation. We got to take out like taboo topics and things like that off the table. We're just going to talk like regular people, all right? That's what we're going to do here. We're going to address the Charley Hull situation. And Charley Hull, I believe she's 28-year-old LPGA Tour player, won twice on the LPGA Tour, and she's a good player. She's had a pretty consistent year so far, and she's known on social media like she's an attractive girl who shows off herself, her golf game, and what she looks like on social media, on Instagram, on her platform. And I mean, this is good for the LPGA Tour because it's going to maybe bring eyeballs, but she hasn't brought that many eyeballs to the LPGA Tour viewing, whatever. She's just, she may bring eyeballs to her Instagram account and things like that, but she's not driving or moving the needle on the LPGA Tour until this past week at the US Open where she's smoking cigarettes. And you just see this big old dart hanging out of her mouth and she just ripping them. And this is so funny. This is why it's the best and worst. One, it's bad because it's smoking, right? You don't want to promote smoking as, hey, look at us. We got this girl who's just going to town on these big old long daddies and puffing smoke everywhere and signing autographs with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. You don't want to promote that. However, you want eyeballs. And she's gone viral. She's driven more people to watch. She's gotten people tuning in that would not tune in just because they want to see her smoking. She's kind of like, a John Daly character now, where you love John because he's drinking and he's smoking and he's just doing, he's being John Daly. And that's entertaining. Here's what's bad, is that you have someone like Nelly Korda, young star, who won 5 tournaments in a row this year, then finished 7th, then won again. And so the two main things that were popular for the US Open was, one, Nelly Korda gets a 10 on a par 3. All right, whatever. Things happen, no big deal. And Charley Hull smoking darts out there on the course. Sign autographs. And the latter got way more viral attention than Nelly Korda. That's what's bad. Because, one, I think the LPGA Tour, they just don't necessarily understand their who are they marketing to? Who do they want to watch? The LPGA Tour. All right, like if you're sitting in their boardrooms or wherever they have these meetings, like, hey, who's our avatar, our audience? Who do we want to market to? And who your audience is and who you want could, unfortunately, many times be two different people. And I would assume they're like, hey, we want to attract young girls in golf to look up to these girls so that they'll work hard, they'll enter the game, and one day be a star on the LPGA Tour. All right, nothing wrong with that. The only problem with that, though, is that's like the smallest segment of the audience of possible. Yeah, you want to grow it, but if you reach out to that audience, that girl watching as a kid, you're striving for the slimmest of demographics right there. It's really small. So you really want to cast a large net. Well, who watches golf? All right, who watches YouTube golf? 98% of my viewers are men. And I'm going to guess the 2% of girls, women, whatever they are kids who are boys on their mom's YouTube account. So YouTube just thinks they're girls, but they're not. All right. So I'm guessing nearly 100% of my audience are males. And so that's across the board. And every YouTuber will tell you the exact same thing. My audience is men. We've talked. It's what it is. That's who it is. So what do? We make content for our avatar, for our audience, because that's what our audience wants. Bob does sports. They're out drinking, doing the things that many dudes do, and it attracts a huge, huge audience. Well, guess what? Charley Hull smoking a cigarette attracts a large audience of men who like that type of thing, right? Men and that audience, the wide net that you want, they like characters. We like interesting people. We like people that are not just so robotic, so boring, so everybody's the same. And so that's where I think the LPGA struggles, is that here you have somebody who's just like, basically, I think she's trying to quit vaping, so she started smoking, which, hey, let's be honest. Smoking a real cigarette is less harmful than vaping. It is. Just don't vape, whatever you do, okay? So here she goes. Don't smoke either, but whatever. She's trying. You're going to do what you're going to do. But it is very interesting, and it reaches that large audience of men who want to see interesting people. Is Nelly Korda a phenomenal golfer? Yes. One of the best ever? Yes. Does she have a perfect swing? Yes. She's, well-spoken. She checks all the boxes, except she's not as interesting as other people. And so the audience wants interesting. So what does the LPGA do with this type of situation that they find themselves in? Because you can't necessarily show her Charley Hull smoking and just puffing away on national television. I don't think that's going to be something these advertisers want, because you can't have cigarette commercials on television. So you can't promote and market a Marlboro during an LPGA broadcast on national television. So, but you can do it virally. That can happen just naturally. Everybody can share, and that's what is going on. That is what is driving eyeballs to the LPGA Tour. Interesting. So with that, it's a great time for the people, those in power of the LPGA, to sit back and look and say, okay, we got to restructure things. We need more interesting people playing in the LPGA. How do we do that? And there's many opportunities to invite people in that could do that. YouTubers, people in social media, like the Myrtle Beach Classic did. They had that, the queue at Myrtle Beach where they were allowing a lot of YouTubers to participate. LPGA could do the exact same thing and get more interesting people. And the people who are currently on the LPGA who do things a little counterculture, a little against the grain, might not be everything you want, might not be perfection, but perfection could be boring. Many times it is. But now Charley has just said, hey, I'm going to be me. And when people are them, they're interesting. So I think it's a great opportunity for the LPGA to say, be you, warts and everything, whatever it may be yourself, put it out there. That's what people appreciate. That's the net, the wide audience that they need, that they want, and they're not getting. And they're not getting it because it's basically, unfortunately, been a boring, dull, uninteresting product. Finally, something happened that made it relevant and interesting. How do you keep that? How do you bottle it? That's the trouble and the dilemma they find themselves in, because although it was phenomenal, and I'm sure we know ratings and everything lifted, and everybody's clamoring for, hey, I want to see her. I want to see that one, because that's the one that's interesting. And so then, okay, you want young girls playing more golf? Get their dads. Get their dads watching your tour. Things like this with Charley Hull get those dads in. They're like, okay, all right, I don't want my daughter to smoke, but she's kind of cool. She's like the James Dean of the LPGA tour. Exactly what it needs. It doesn't need a star. It has a star. It has Nelly Corda, who's winning all the tournaments. It doesn't need that. That's not what makes it relevant. What makes it relevant is interesting. A rebel with a cause or without. So that's Charley Hull. She's the rebel with a golf club. Let me know what you think. I think it's fantastic, and my hope is that they do something with it in a way that helps that sport become interesting. Because I love golf. I think we all love golf. We want to see golf on the highest level be interesting. I think I can say interesting maybe 10 more times before we're done today, but I'm going to stop right there. We're going to put a cap on that word. It needs to be exciting. And I think something needs to be done about it. Let me know your thoughts and what you would do to lift that up to make it more and more exciting each and every week. Thanks for listening. Don't smoke. See you soon.